the positives that I come away from this game, first of all, and we can talk about him, I'm sure, here in a second, but first and foremost, the moment was not too big for Mac Jones. Mac Jones looked calm. He looked poised. He looked cool and collective. This is probably his best game on tape. We have to go back and watch it, but it felt like one of his best games. It was right up there with the week one against Miami, where it went about as good as you could possibly expect for a rookie quarterback. And the second thing that I really came away positive takeaway from this game was it felt like the coaching staff coached a very good game tonight on both sides of the football. Some of the runs by McDaniel, some of the draw plays early were the fourth down decisions were
Yeah,
but
I think they wanted to see if there was anything to be had there, but they diagnosed it pretty quickly that there wasn't on the ground. Yeah.
And they turned it over to Mac. They coached the game about as well as they possibly could have. In this one, I really felt that way, and I thought that they played damn near perfectly as well if it wasn't for some of the blown mistakes that they did have in this game. Brandon Bolden blows a blitz pickup early, and Mac Jones throws that interception. Then J.J. Taylor fumbles. Then Matthew Slater gets called for a penalty. And those 3 or 4 mistakes against a guy like Tom Brady is what adds up to the team losing the football game.
Yeah, and no doubt. So as far as the Mac Jones stuff is concerned, again, it did feel like they put it in his hands a lot more. It did feel like he was making, certainly he took a few sacks, probably sometimes where he might have held it a little bit too long. But on the whole, it's really hard to watch this game and not be pleased with what you saw from Mac. I'll say the only thing is, the only area of concern for me, the biggest one is he's hit on basically every play. It's just not. This isn't sustainable. So I don't know if Trent Brown solves every problem, but I mean, we had massive issues. I know Onwenu left for a little bit. I wasn't sure whether he got benched. It turned out he got dinged up a little bit. He went in the tent. Karras came in. He had a couple before that. Onwenu had a couple bad penalties, but the line again held up enough, but still not what you're looking for in terms of the time that Mac's going to need, or else he's just going to get murdered. The second is when he is trying to press the ball downfield, particularly those throws out to the sidelines. There's a couple that got floated out there that make you a little bit nervous. So it's I am still a little bit dubious about his ability to drill the ball downfield when he needs to.
Yeah, I think maybe to the outside there's some concern there. I'm not concerned about him drilling the ball.
You had the Aguilar one. I mean, I know Aguilar could have come back to the ball, but that hung up there for like 5 seconds. It felt like.
I mean, maybe the far hash throw to the perimeter all the way out to the boundary is something that you are a little bit wary of with Mac Jones, but in terms of driving the football through the middle of the field,
for sure,
he's pretty good there. And what I come back to with him tonight was a couple of different instances where he sensed the rush coming and was able to move off his spot a little bit and buy some time for himself in the pocket and make some throws down the field. And you see all these things happen, and you just look at the overall poise that he brought to the table tonight. This is a really difficult spot for a rookie quarterback. You have the king returning, right? You have the GOAT coming back. You have his first game back in Foxboro. All the talk is about Tom Brady. And you have a rookie quarterback going into this game against the defending Super Bowl champions in his 4th career start. And he played pretty darn well for what it was. The first throw, the interception, it was not a good decision. It's not a throw that he should have made. He threw the ball to a covered seam route. It wasn't his best decision. It probably one that he would definitely want to have back. It sort of ended up working out as like a 23-yard punt. Obviously, you would think that Jake Bailey would flip the field a little bit better than 23 yards, but ultimately it was a 3rd down interception. So it was a 23-yard punt essentially. But what you look at with the offensive line is that there's still breakdowns in schemed communication type errors, right? Where, okay, you have Devin White coming on a blitz a couple of times up just right through the A gap, right through the middle of the offensive line, and there's nobody there to pick it up, whether it's a running back and blitz pickup, whether it's the center peeling off and picking him up, or a guard peeling off and picking him up. There's just nobody there to pick up that blitz. Then Joe Tyrone delivered just a huge sack on Mac Jones in the second half on his stunt. So you have Vita Vea penetrate, you have Tyrone wrap around, and here comes the pressure. And these little scheme things like stunts, twists, blitzes, those types of things are really giving this offensive line all sorts of problems. It's not the one-on-one stuff, right? When they actually get hat on a hat, they're holding up decently well. But what their problem is right now is that they're not seeing the game through one lens. So there's stunts happening and guys aren't passing them off. There's blitzes coming and guys aren't picking them up because you're not seeing the picture through the same lens. And that's something the Patriots really harp on with their offensive line. And you're just not seeing that. But every single time Mac Jones has a little bit of time in the pocket, or he's able to buy himself a little bit of time, he gets away from Devin White on a play and hits Damian Harris for that catch and run for 20 plus yards. Early on in the game, he sidesteps a blitz, keeps his eyes down the field, moves the coverage, hits to Kendrick Bourne.
He did a great job getting out of the pocket fast, recognizing where the pressure was coming from. It's not his forte to get on the move and to roll out, but he recognized a lot of times, I got to roll. It's coming right up the middle here. And he just did it. And the fact that he would make that decision quickly is what allowed him to make as many plays as he made. He did that quite a few times.
Yeah.
That was very impressive.
That was the most impressive part about this game, was his ability to move around the pocket and get his legs, get himself into a better position to throw, and recognizing where the pressure was coming from
right
and
away.
being able to get rid of the football in a positive manner. He statistically, across the board, and I tweeted this out with the advanced metrics right after the final whistle. Statistically speaking, Mac Jones outplayed Tom Brady in this game. He didn't outplay him on the scoreboard, didn't win the game, but statistically across the board, whether you want to go advanced metrics like EPA or completion percentage over expected, or if you want to go with the regular metrics like passer rating and completion percentage and yards per attempt, Mac Jones was the better quarterback on the field tonight between Tom Brady and Mac Jones. Now, Mac obviously was going up against a different defense than Tom Brady, not exactly the same defensive secondary that Tom had to face, but overall, Mac Jones outplayed him. And that is a really good thing to come away with. Anytime your quarterback outplays Tom Brady, that's a positive, right? You got to take that.
He definitely did. And we're not going to argue that the Patriots have better weapons than the Bucs do. And we're not going to argue that Mac Jones was protected. So he did it under more difficult circumstances as well. And I'm not one to throw around hyperbole and that sort of stuff. Like, he flat out was better. And he could have, should have, been able to pull out that game, which would have been amazing. So yeah, I mean, you're definitely going to feel good. What I love is I love listening to, you see the post-game commentary filter out. Like, there's a lot of hyperbole and people say stuff and there's cliches. I really do get the sense in that room, they have total faith in him right now as their guy and their leader, to the point that I actually feel like, I was listening to David Andrews post game. It sounds like they think they're letting him down, and that's kind of says a lot. These are guys who've played with the greatest of all time, who've won Super Bowls, and they're like, we got to be better for him. He's doing great. This kid's tough as nails. He's hanging in there. He's doing everything he needs to do. We got to be better, which is, again, you're looking for encouraging signs. The team is 1-3. I do think they buy it. I don't think they're looking around like, oh, we got this guy starting now.
No, Devin McCourty said it after the game. The best part about Mac Jones to him as a defensive player is that he's not worried about Mac Jones. Right. He knows that Mac Jones is doing everything that he's got to do. He's coming in preparing every day. He's working his butt off in practice. He's working his butt off in the film room. He's getting in his game plan and getting in the install. And he's going through all of these things properly and getting himself ready for these games. And Devin McCourty said the guys on defense don't even think about the fact like, oh, we got this rookie quarterback that we're rolling out here and we're going to lose the game because we got Mac going against Brady. They go into this game tonight and they played this way. They went into the game thinking that they had a real chance to win and their quarterback was going to give them a real chance to win. And let's not forget that now in 2 of these 4 games, that they've lost, or 2 of these 3 games that they've lost, Mac Jones has put the team in a position to win the football game. The Patriots were in a position to win the game against Miami, and they were in a position to win the game tonight against Tampa Bay. So he has brought them into all these situations, and he has been able to put them in a position to win. And other guys, 110% correct, other guys have let him down. Now, I can't get on Nick Folk too much for missing a 56-yard field goal, right? In the rain and the conditions that they were in.
It was a great kick.
It's a tough kick. But overall, whether you want to place that on Nick Folk, if you want to place that on Bill Belichick for not going for it on the 4th and 3, wherever you want to play that blame game, the blame is not on Mac Jones, right? Mac Jones puts them in a position to win.
And in fact, that's at the end of the day, you have your metrics and the analytics and what they say to do in each of these situations. Sometimes it comes down to whose hands or foot do you want the ball in? And at that point, I don't know why you wouldn't feel confident putting the game in the hands of Mac Jones to get you a few more yards. That's another simpler way to look at whether or not you go for it or not. I would think they would have, but I had faith that Mac's going to pick this one up. I mean, they had, as you said, they had something wide open the play before, it was
maybe it will. So the one thing I will say is that when you go into these games, every play caller has 4 or 5 great, what most people would call in that situation, it's a 2-point play, right? It's going from the 2-yard line. You need 2 yards. You need to get it in. And most OCs have 3 or 4 good calls that they really trust. The Patriots called one on to Brandon Bolden. They got him on a pick route in the flat on the drive before that, I believe it was, or maybe it was a touchdown drive that ended with a Jonnu Smith TD. They ran the pick kind of rub concept for Jacoby Myers on the 3rd down play. So I think that one of the things that you might look at is, did they feel like they had a great 4th and 3 play call, right? Did they feel like they had something really, really good to call in 4th and 3 in the game? And maybe they felt like their odds of executing that play were lower odds of Nick Folk making that kick.
Yeah. I guess that's what the thinking comes down to. But again, not to relitigate it all over again, even if Folk makes the kick, you don't necessarily win. And that has to factor into your decision making as well. Not only how difficult the kick is, but if he misses, you lose. And if he makes it, you still might lose. And both of those things are true. Less so if you do go for it. So again, we'll talk about that. It seems relatively split. And again, it's not a no-brainer decision. I just think between that and the punt, those are 2 opportunities where the Patriots could have probably gotten more aggressive